I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Welcome to the Wired to Hunt podcast, your home for deer hunting news, stories, and strategies. And now, your host, Mark Kenyon.
Welcome to the Wired to Hunt podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kenyon, and this is episode number 143. Today in the show, we have got a special treat for you, as this episode was recorded last week at our 2017 Iowa Shed Camp with some of my best hunting buddies, and we're chatting and laughing through some of our favorite shed hunting and deer hunting stories. All right, welcome to the Wired to Hunt podcast, brought to you by Sitka Gear. And today is going to be a special episode because we don't have one single guest, and we're not talking about some kind of strategy or tip or tactic. We're just telling stories today. And the majority of this podcast was actually recorded a few days ago in Iowa, where I was on a shed hunting trip with a bunch of my buddies. And Saturday night, we piled into the camper, grabbed a bunch of microphones, and recorded a podcast talking about how and what we had been up to the past few days looking for sheds. But Dan Johnson couldn't stick around for that. He actually did, though. You did get to come and shed hunt with us on one day before that.
That's right.
And that was fun.
That was. I had a blast.
I'm really glad you could get out of work and come do that.
Yep. Although I'm pretty sure Ross Hossman walked all the good spots.
He did find a really nice big shed the day after we left.
Yeah, I know. I saw the picture of it.
But yeah, man, it was fun, but it was tough, you know?
Yep. But that's what shed hunting is, man. It's not even like it's there's really goals. It's just walking, especially when I came up on Friday, just walking with buds, basically.
Yeah. Now, you were only there for like 6 hours or something like that. But even in that short period of time, did we not just laugh an absolute crap ton?
Oh yeah, we laughed. I got a chiropractic adjustment, and it's funny because I left the shed hunt better than what I arrived. So
it's a pretty good deal hanging out with a bunch of chiropractors.
I know, right?
Although I've got some pictures of you that look like you might have been taken advantage of a little bit.
Yep. Well, when a guy says, "All right, take your boots off, lay on your belly, and I'll come up behind you," I was just like, "Oh, where is this going? Is this a trick?"
Oh, that was so funny. That was awesome. So
I didn't even know how did Sunday or Saturday go for you guys?
So Saturday was kind of more the same as Friday. We ended up finding a few sheds as a group, but overall is really, really tough. I tracked my mileage, and I walked. Let me double check this. I know over the course of 3 days, I'm just going to look and make sure here. Give me 2 seconds. We're going to get this number correct. Of course, the internet goes slow when I try this. Okay. a little over 37 miles I walked.
37 miles in 3 days?
Yeah.
Or 4 days?
3 days and like an hour on the last morning.
Gotcha.
And so we walked a lot. As a group, found very few sheds, and me personally found 0. My very first time ever coming home empty-handed from Iowa. So that was a bummer. But yeah, you know, there's more to it than that. Lots of good stories. And did you find one while you were there with us?
I did not.
You did not.
I haven't found one this entire year yet.
You did go out, though, right?
I did go out. I went out with my wife and my son on Saturday, and my wife found her very first shed ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was she pumped?
I sent her. Oh, she was. I heard her. Hey, I got one. Hey, I got a shed. And I'm just like, all right, walk. Like, if I acted like that, it'd be a 90-incher, right? But
right.
I mean, it was just this little dink, this little Larry shed, and she was pumped, and now I have it. Actually, I had to move some stuff around, and I put that shed in my office, and it hangs in a very special spot. And I'm thinking about getting a little plaque that says, you know, Sarah's first shed or something like that made, because
that's cool.
I was just as jacked as she was. I'm like, all right, now she's excited.
Yeah. So is she gonna be a more frequent shed hunter now?
I think so. I think this coming Saturday we have an entire day planned.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
that's what you need. You almost need to go out and like plant one for these newbies, just so that they can get that little excitement and then be into it.
Right. That's funny, because it's kind of funny, because first 2 years my wife ever came shed hunting with me, they're just very short walks, and other than getting caught in multiflower rows and not finding anything, or like sprinkling a bit, she's like, why do you do this? And it took time, but I could see her excitement, just kind of like turkey hunting. The first 2 years I took her turkey hunting, it downpoured and it was cold and the turkeys weren't responding. And she's like, is this how, you know, that was her introduction ever, first time ever into hunting. And then the third year, finally, everything kind of worked out. And now she understands that excitement, you know, sometimes there's ups and downs, and the excitement, you know, the droughts make the plentiful times much better, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely relate to that. I actually had my wife out helping me shed hunt today back here in Michigan. And unfortunately had a situation similar to yours where she wasn't finding anything, and it was cold and windy, and she's like, this is boring. I'm going home. But I do have some exciting news. I did find my first shed of the year today.
Oh, congratulations, Mark.
Thank you. It was.
Is it a new one?
No, it's an old shed, which is, you know, kind of not as exciting as a new shed, but this is really pretty crazy. And for those longtime followers of Wired to Hunt, you'll understand why this is so cool. This shed is from 2012, and it is the shed from the buck I called Leaner.
Oh, really?
A buck that I was after for 2 years, and in 2013 was like the biggest buck on the farm, and awesome deer. But his 2012 shed is the one I found. And it was like no doubt about it. I looked at him like, is there some way this could possibly be his from way back then? And then I went and looked at trail camera pictures just now a few minutes ago, and absolutely no doubt that's him. So crazy that this shed has been sitting there for 4 years, and I haven't found it. And it's not chewed up bad or anything. It's just, it was a little bit green, but otherwise it was great. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I talked with Lee Lakoski via text message yesterday, and he told me that 90% of all his deer have dropped. The only ones that are still holding are like 1 and 2 year olds. So for me, that just is like, oh man, because there was a huge gap on my farm from the time that I that I have shed hunted earlier this year in late February or to mid-February to now, where hopefully they're not all chewed up or someone else has scooped them, you know?
Yeah, that's the tough thing, is getting that timing right.
Right.
I've been patiently waiting to walk the properties where I think Holyfield might be, and today was the first day I really hit it hard because I had a good feeling they were dropped, and I didn't find them, but there's a lot more area to walk, so this next week or so I'm going to hit it hard because I do think that they could be in there. So
right. Now, you can't use any type of – you can't drop any corn or put out any attractants or anything like that, right?
No, I can't do that here. So it's just been hoping he sticks around, and I was worried that he might not because my food plots had been flooded earlier in February, but some recent intel indicates that he's still in my neck of the woods. So
nice. Well, good luck, man. I hope you find him and then you can celebrate.
Oh my gosh! If I find those antlers, I will scream like a little girl. I will be so excited.
Are you like how many acres are you? Do you have access to hunt where you think he is, or do you feel that going in there today, you know, you ran the risk of maybe bumping him out, and he's going to go shed somewhere else?
So around this property I hunt, I've got access to several different adjacent properties. So I've got a bunch of properties I can shed hunt around here. A good chunk of the area of this kind of block of the roads, you know, the square mile block, I can shed hunt, I don't know, 70% of it maybe.
Gotcha.
So I feel pretty darn good about that. It's just a matter of, you know, seeing them. But I think I'm pretty sure I saw him last night, and he was shed. So that was why I went in there today. And I don't know. I can't say 100% for sure, but I was like, gosh, I really think that's him. And I saw him relatively recently with antlers, and then again here in the same place, and it looked like it was him again without. So so I decided to take the plunge. And so today I walked what I thought was probably the best area, and my wife and I walked it like we fine-tooth combed it. I mean, we didn't miss a spot. We checked we just grid searched it. So I grid searched, I don't know what it would have been, maybe like a 10-acre area today. And then I just did kind of like a little perimeter, low-hanging fruit type walk on my way back out. And now maybe tomorrow or the next day I'm just going to keep on working chunks like that and just work them really, really hard. And hopefully come on them. So that's the hope.
Right. That's the hope.
You never know how it goes, but we're going to give it a shot.
Right. Well, good luck, Mark. I hope you find him. Maybe bring your grunt tube or something like that, and you might be able to, you know, maybe while you're walking, you can grunt a little bit, and they won't run off spooked.
It's an interesting idea. Something tells me that won't do it, but
I know I'm spitballing here, right?
I like the willingness to try new ideas, though, Dan. That's good.
Right.
That's good.
Outside the box.
Outside the box. So I gotta say real quick before we wrap this up, I do wish that you had been able to stick around for the podcast recording this past weekend.
I know, man. Me too. But you know how the free time is and the brownie point system works. Well, maybe you know how it works with 2 kids and a wife by herself. And my kids are psychopaths, so they literally know how to push every button that is on that an adult can have. And you know, when that time is gone. And used up and those buttons are pushed, it can get stressful.
I believe that. Well, I understand why you couldn't make it. We could have used you, though. We could have used you. Because, like, I got to say, right, it was myself and then 5 of my buddies. And they're not podcasting pros like you are, Dan.
Oh, yeah, I'm a pro?
You're a pro. So
okay.
It took a little time to get them warmed up. It was a little bit slow and it was a little bit rough at the beginning, Dan. I was like, I could use some 9 fingers here.
Were they giving you one word like answers like, oh, hey guys, so how'd today go? Today went good.
Yeah.
We're walking. Sounded like NPR.
Kind of like that. Yeah, there were some nerves, I think. But we got into it, and you know what the key was? The key to really getting things going
Budweiser.
there was some of that, but it was getting the man who took advantage of you, Mr. Chiropractor Peter Lynch.
Oh yeah,
getting him going. And
yeah.
That
First, I want to send a shout out real quick, and I want to tell Perimeter Pete thanks for the infield adjustment. And do you know what the name of his chiropractic agency is?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get it wrong. Lynch,
Right.
Peter Lynch Chiropractic, maybe, or something like that, out of northeastern Iowa.
Right. He is the best chiropractor in the entire world. So you should go, if you're having any ailments, you should go visit him because he does a great job. And that can, we can, hopefully Sitka doesn't get mad that we've had 2 commercials now.
Yeah, I'm hoping they'll let that one slide. he was wearing Sitka during the shed hunt, so
Yes, he was. So that it evens out.
yeah, I think so. All right, well, let's wrap this up and hop over to the camper where we had our Shed Camp podcast. But first, we will take a break for that aforementioned Sitka gear segment. And I figured today we'd have our Sitka story simply be the stories you're about to hear, because just about all of them took place while wearing Sitka gear. Almost every single one of my friends is wearing Sitka gear on their hunts, and most of them were wearing it on this shed hunting trip. So we got to take advantage of their products to keep us comfortable and out there hiking around for most of last week. So that's it. I thought I'd share my ideal shed hunting Sitka system, the actual gear I was wearing during these hunts or these shed hunts. So on this trip, I was wearing the Sitka Gear Core Lightweight Crew long sleeve shirt and the Core Lightweight bottoms. And these are the base layers I actually also wear on my hunts, and they are a synthetic lightweight base layer that just do an incredible job of handling moisture, in this case sweat from walking around all over the place. And they also have this built-in Polygene technology, which utilizes a silver salt to neutralize odor. So all the stank that probably would have accumulated after nearly 40 miles of walking, I didn't have to deal with that. Now, on top of that layer on the bottom, I did wear a non-cyclic pair of canvas pants just to deal with all the thorns and nasty, brushy stuff. But on the top, I was wearing a Fanatic hoodie, which, with that nice hood and the little built-in hand mitts was really nice when it got cold and nasty out there. And then also, layered on top of that was a Stratus vest. When it got really cold and windy, I put on that Stratus vest, which has a wind stopper membrane, which just completely cuts that wind and chill. So early in the morning when it was really windy and cold, that was really nice. So that right there is a system that kept me out there comfortable, dry, and walking for miles and miles and miles. And if you would like to learn more about Sitka gear for your deer hunts or shed hunts, you can visit sitkagear.com. And now, let's go to the Iowa camper and hear those stories. Ross looks nervous.
I am nervous, actually.
Are you all nervous?
Yeah, why? I don't know. I won't listen. I probably won't even listen to this podcast. I don't like listening to myself.
Peter,
What?
tell me, why would you not listen to this podcast?
Because I'm on it.
He hasn't listened to any of them that he's on.
Well, I haven't really been on one.
And what podcast is this?
Episode number
141?
141.
141.
3?
I was gonna say I thought it was
143.
Dude, I was close.
You were close.
Don't give me. He's looking at me like
I listen to every one.
he was looking at me
Right
like
the same
I'm
week,
terrible.
usually.
I'm like, I'm only after
Saturday.
never do.
any of them. No,
What podcast is this, Pete?
143.
143.
This is
Alright.
episode number 143. Peter
Perimeter.
Lynch reporting
Perimeter Pete with 50 pounds.
from
of
Northern
swinging
Iowa.
meat.
Just say Northern. 50 pounds of swinging me.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, we're going to let you introduce the podcast. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1.
Good evening or good morning, everybody. This is Pistol Pete. This weekend known as Perimeter Pete, because I like to walk to perimeters while we shed hunt. Give the guys the good stuff. What?
I love that.
Welcome to episode number 143
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
of the Wired Hunt podcast, and we are recording from a camper in
Northern.
far western Iowa, and we're here at a shed hunt. and we got a whole crew of people here today. It's a weird podcast. We're not recording on a computer. We're recording here with microphones and a bunch of people in person. I'm getting weird looks from all my friends.
Yes.
They're on edge.
Friends, I don't know.
Yes, friends.
Acquaintances.
Peter,
Acquaintances.
talk to us. Introduce yourself. Who are you?
I am Peter Lynch. I live somewhere in Iowa. And I, like Corey, am a chiropractor. And I was born and raised in Upper Michigan. And now just love hunting and living in Iowa.
Very good. Perimeter Pete. You guys know Corey. Corey, can you give us a quick voiceover so we know who we're talking to? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Corey's doing good. Andy Bradley's never been on the podcast before. Andy,
First time, Andy.
are you excited
How you
to be on
doing?
the podcast?
I'm very excited.
You don't look like it.
I'm not that excited, but I'm here, so
That's good. Josh is with us again. He was on a podcast recently. You're an old pro now.
Yeah, second time. Should be a piece of cake now.
Mm-hmm. And Ross, you're back.
I'm back.
Thank you for letting us shed hunt your properties.
No problem. It was a good time. Wish it was a little bit better, but it's been a tough year.
It's been a little bit tough. So we got here, me and Dustin. Dustin's not with us now. He's with us. He's alive, but he's not in the camper. He had to go home. But me and Dustin got here 3 days ago, and we walked a property of mine. And then, what else? Ross got here that night. Corey got here that night. And then Andy and Josh showed up last night. How's the shed hunting been?
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
I would say challenging.
Explain the difference, Pete.
It just sounds more professional and challenging.
It's definitely been hard because we've had a year with mild temperatures and minimal snow. It doesn't allow the deer to kind of yard up, so the antlers are spread out, and it's been a lot of walking.
Andy wants to tell us about that right now. Based on the look on his face, he wants to tell us why he thinks the shed hunting is so tough.
it's still better than Michigan, so I'm not going to complain.
That's true.
But I think Corey did just make that up on the fly, so.
Do you think so? Huh?
No, it sounded good, though.
It did sound well. Yeah, it was good.
That's what you do.
That's what I do.
Tell us more.
About what I do, or
Well, whatever you want.
no, that actually is probably why we've had a tougher time.
I would agree.
The deer are not concentrated very well, and I think overall deer numbers seem to be down a little bit as far as overall sign. But I mean, there's definitely still deer, but it's just
Corey,
not quite
how many of
same.
the deer are still holding?
That's true. We've contemplated that all weekend. I honestly don't know. There are some still holding though, so that's
Some say 50%.
some say 50.
Although 100% of the deer we saw
We're not holding.
were not holding.
Right.
We've not seen a single antler buck.
Yeah. And we've seen
Nor
we've probably
very,
seen
very few antlers in general.
at all.
we've seen over 100 deer, and we have not seen one holding. So
So who has found antlers? Say aye.
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 Who hasn't found antlers? Say aye.
Aye.
about half of the group has and half hasn't.
Yeah. Let's okay, so no one cares about day one because none of you were there. It was just me, and Dustin's gone. But Dustin found one shed in the first day. We walked one of the properties I have permission to hunt on and also shed hunt. And it's a great looking property, but just nothing going. Corey, you found a bunch there last year with me,
I did. Yeah.
which was
We found,
encouraging.
what, four or five.
4 or 5, I think.
4 or 5 that day.
I thought we could pull that off again this year, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that was day one. Tell us about your thoughts on camping though that first night, because me and Dustin went shed hunting, and then we came here to the campsite, and you were driving, and we hadn't figured out how to get the heat in the camper yet. Now me and Dustin were sleeping in a tent. Corey was going to sleep in Ross's camper, but the heat has not been figured out yet.
Right.
Tell me about your thought process as you were driving, and
Sure.
we called you to tell you that the heat may not be working, and you were like, I don't know. We might be going to the blank inn, the
Right.
hotel.
Sure.
Where was your head at that
Well, we have
point?
to set the stage. So I was making a 7-hour drive, and it's now after 9 o'clock at night, and the temperature outside's about 25 degrees with a stiff breeze.
I think it was less than that.
There might
It was
even
in
been,
the
yeah.
teens.
It was later, but at that time it was very cold, and yeah, I was. Let's just say if the heat was, I wasn't sure that the heat was going to be on. Ross said it was, and with the heat on, I was all in. But as soon as these guys informed me that there was no heat, I decided that I might want to stay at the local hotel, but I did decide to change my mind and come here because eventually the
Peer
heat.
pressure.
I was pressured, and it worked out just fine because the heat did come on and it was rather.
It was a
comfortable.
camping miracle.
Yes.
Was the miracle that you had to turn the propane on? Isn't that?
No, that really.
It really was a
Wasn't
miracle. We had the propane was on, everything was on
It
properly.
just took
and
like
it was
it took like 20 minutes to
took just a weirdly long
finally
time for it to fire and go.
go.
But it got real nice once it was.
Yeah.
And then when you arrived, we were grilling New York strip steaks at like 10:30 at night.
Yep.
Dustin ate one with his hands and he just piled right into it.
Had 2 pieces of bread.
Uh-huh. It was good.
The food was good.
So what did we do the next day? That was
Thursday evening. Yeah.
Well, the next day, Friday, you guys weren't here. Where did we walk? Obviously, we can't. What did we do?
We walked the Cedars and then the.
Oh, yeah, the Cedars. So the morning was good.
Was
the
good.
evening
The
was
evening
not,
was
so,
not
good.
so good.
All right, Peter, you found the first shed of the day.
Yeah, I found the first shed.
Talk to us about that.
You guys really scarfed up the good stuff right away, so I kind of stayed to the outskirts. I'm kind of the veteran here, older.
How old are you?
Pretty close to 45.
Wow.
Yeah, closer to 50 than 30. So.
We noted that you're almost to the age you could have been my dad.
Yeah, and I used to live in your part of the world, so
So we haven't ruled that out.
yeah,
It hasn't been ruled out.
yeah, somewhere near
You guys look a little bit alike.
Tecumseh. It's close to somewhere out there. I'm not sure where, but so I could have patted you on the head as a youth.
A youth.
A youth, yeah, a youth. So, no, I doubled back because we kind of went down the road and all came back, and it was getting pretty steep where I was. So I walked back to the perimeter, and next to the gravel road, and there was a shed, 50 yards from the automobile, just at the perfect angle where you couldn't see it from the road. But when you saw it from the perimeter, it was like just stood right out. About a 2.5-year-old shed, nice shed. It's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5-point side or 4-point
5-point side, yeah.
Total. How many other sheds have you found this year?
Just one other. I got about 30 hours in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one shed I did find was last year's shed. So
We were walking, what was that? It was the Cedars there, and the Cedars are up on a hill, and then down the hill, right, Ross, then you've got these cornfields and everything. What was the scenario there it was a pretty good setup.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good cover, and it's a good wintering spot. And then a lot of the deer from the area kind of head into that cedar thicket, and then they cross the road and head out into some cornfields across the way. So it's always good every year, but it always depends on how hard the winter is, obviously. And this year it was really mild, so I think we did pretty good finding a few in there.
Yeah. How does this compare to like all your past shed seasons you've had at Ross?
This is the worst.
Ever?
Yeah.
Wow.
Worst ever, for
We've
sure.
already decided that it was Josh's fault, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Mark's fault,
Is it
actually.
Mark? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. As long, yeah.
I've been here in past good years, though. Josh hasn't.
Yeah, but you brought Josh, so.
Well, that's true. That is true.
brought you too.
That's true.
Yeah.
It definitely can be me.
So last year at this time, how many sheds had you found, Ross?
Oh, I don't even know. At this time, probably 40 or so, 40-some.
And how many have you found so far this year?
20.
Half. Yikes. And that's not just you personally. That's you and your wife total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year we
So-
found 60. This year we probably won't find. I don't think we'll find much more than 30.
So you're down to your final 10 sheds.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. A lot
Bummer.
of factors. And the places you can walk, it all depend on how the year plays out. And this year's not playing out very good, so.
No. Well,
Yeah.
all right. So what happened from there? Who found the next one?
on the next one.
Yeah, I found a little 4-point side,
Oh, yeah.
and then pretty boring.
It was boring.
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 And then
Then Dustin found.
Dustin found that one
Yeah.
chewed up one.
That would have been a really nice shed
Yeah, would have.
if it
Yeah,
hadn't been all chewed up. Because that was pretty sweet.
it was good brow tine and pretty heavy mass all the way out. It was nice antler.
So we walked the Cedars, and with a group of 6 of us, because it was us plus Dustin
And
plus Dan.
Dan Johnson.
Dan
he was the entertainment.
Mr. Co-host Dan Johnson was there for a while.
Yep.
And we were just kind of scouring, working lengthwise that whole cedar thicket, which looked like great bedding. And
then we went across
found
the road.
3 there. Yep,
walked
across
some
the
more
road.
around. Didn't find anything. Well, we did find that one walking out.
Well,
Or,
Dusty
did.
found like an ancient,
Yeah.
what, 6-inch base?
crazy.
I mean,
That one that was 7 or 8 years old, or however old it was.
wasn't
Huge
much to
bases.
look at anymore. But
It was almost like as big as a beer can like base. It was heavy. Probably 6-7 inch bases. Really heavy. Yeah.
Andy found an old one today.
I don't want to talk about it. I'd rather not talk about it, please.
It's fine. It was that thing took the cake though. I mean, that's pushing. That had to be. I mean, that could be like 10 years old. That thing's been.
It had a special story to that
I
shed.
can't believe nobody else has found that shed before.
Andy got sloppy seconds on that shed.
Yeah. Not everybody finds a shed that somebody else already found in the woods. See, I've done that.
it's kind of true to his nature, though. He likes everything second.
Who found that last year?
Second hand.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
You just
Corey,
chucked it back where
I
you
found it down there in the bottom. I saw it from like 60 yards away. And
Oh, sure you did.
No, it was a ways. It was a ways. I mean, okay, 40 yards, but it was a ways.
Yeah, okay.
And I went down there and got it, and of course, looked it over, and it was significantly
Not to your
chewed,
standards,
weathered,
right.
faded. It was just not quite up to par. So I figured I'd leave it for the tree rats, finish it out.
Or leave it for somebody like Andy.
Oh, somebody like
Well, I couldn't keep it. It's not something that I can cherish now that I know you tossed it away like garbage. Now I'm gonna come back.
The
with
better question is, had I not said a word and anyone say anything, would you have kept it either way?
Oh, I'd be hanging onto it right now.
Would you? Okay.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'd sleep with it tonight. First Iowa shed, I turned around, they're all laughing at me.
Yeah, it's true. You shamed
that
him
is
into
bad.
throwing away
No,
his
it's fine.
first
No,
Iowa
I'll
shed.
probably-
I do kind of feel bad about that. I didn't
I'm
think
sure.
about it.
I'm sure I'll get over it. It's fine.
I think it was.
can go back
I think
tomorrow and get
it was honestly just the shock
You know
that
what?
I saw something that I had found last year and left there that you had it. I was impressed. So I just
when
was
you
like,
feel
hey,
shock, you want to laugh at me. That's
no,
not healthy. It's not healthy. Let's just move on.
I really do apologize because that did pretty much ruin your first experience.
it didn't ruin it at all. But
Okay.
But Andy Corey was a little something. He was like kind of suspect when we got there today. Kind of not really wanting to walk this place.
No, he was.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
No.
I was a little down.
Yeah, you were down.
Yeah.
The first place we walked today, it was.
I wasn't optimistic.
Well,
I
so
was-
we had-
all like,
the
what are we gonna
confidence
do?
level was not there.
I think
I'll give you that.
No, we actually talked about we need to bring a backpack full of sheds and like
Just to throw 'em
place
out.
a couple out for you, so you
Bring
don't
my
get,
spirits up.
Yeah, when you get in the in the depths of despair, we can kind of bring you up a little bit. And
Okay.
Keep the energy level
Yeah.
high.
yeah,
I do that with my dog sometimes, actually.
Yeah.
that's a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, after we found all those in the cedars yesterday, and Dustin found the ancient one,
Yeah.
we kept walking more places that afternoon and found nothing.
Right.
And then the whole morning, this morning, same thing. So we'd gone almost 24 hours without a shed. So then, but then
Then
who found the first one
I
today?
did. Well, I don't know. I don't know what time he found his, but
Yeah, you must. You probably
I
found
probably
yours
found
first.
mine first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
situation there? What
That was just like basically we were walking this big point with a ridge top, and I got the top of the ridge, and
Why did you get the top of the ridge?
What
I
does
got
that mean, of
well,
course?
I got the top of the ridge because a few people here said that I should
Seniority.
no,
Okay,
said,
I know.
no, they didn't. It wasn't a seniority thing. It was just that I think they realized that I was in that kind of depth and
Okay,
despair
yeah.
area.
I was.
And they
If
didn't want the
Corey
rest of the
didn't-
day to be miserable, so they
We
said
were
I should go
losing.
up top because
Yeah, we
there's
were
a good
losing.
chance.
We were losing.
We were losing Corey.
Yeah.
That's what friends do.
Yeah.
So they sent me up top, and
He was going to go scouting his other hunting property. I'm like, you're breaking the wolf pack.
Yeah, the cardinal rule of
Yeah.
abandoning the group midday.
Nobody
And there was a
fellow
chance that
shed
you were going to
hunter.
head home early.
Well,
too.
he made the comment. He's
Yeah.
like, if we don't find more sheds, I'm going home tonight.
Or he's going to go.
and that's your
That's
ride.
my ride. So
Or he's going to go to Gordman's, but that's a whole nother story.
tell us that
So anyways,
story.
I got up top, and there was about that's probably 3 or 4 acres of kind of I don't know, I guess a bunch of rose bushes and grassy area and kind of open. A lot of sunlight gets up there, and a lot of deer sign, and I did find a nice 5-point sight off from a 3.5-year-old. So that was encouraging.
It was a nice
Helped finish
Brought you
out.
back,
It brought me
didn't
back.
it?
It helped finish out the afternoon.
It really got everyone kind of amped up again too.
Yeah,
Because
And then
I think
Russ.
we were all dragging a little bit.
yeah.
And then you found one at the same time. What was
Yep.
that?
Just small 5-point side.
I
And
probably
then-
wouldn't have seen it, so I'm glad you found it.
You saw
I
it
didn't
like
really
100
snipe
yards
it
away.
because it was like 150 yards ahead, but yeah, it was in Peter's line. But that far out, it was.
Well, I'm getting
Straight
older
ahead.
now. My eyesight isn't what it used to be. Seeing
Thought it'd
that
help him out.
look like an iceberg on the hill. But,
It did pop out like that.
Yeah,
The white
it stood out.
Yeah.
tines down.
Yeah.
It looked just like an antler.
It's weird.
It's pretty awesome.
It's amazing how that works, right?
Yeah.
I love it when that happens. And that was it,
Yep.
wasn't it?
That was
Pretty
it.
much.
Those are all the sheds we found. Oh, except
Yeah.
we got a road shed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Peter, tell us that
Peter,
story
yeah.
of your road shed.
Well, we were stacked like mule in this Ross's vehicle, driving around looking for sheds, and mostly kind of scouting property. That's always fun to do. And drove by this place, and there was a gentleman in a tractor, and the senior gentleman was driving it was like a Club Cadet Kubota, yeah, side by side, and they had a big dead cow there. So that was kind of interesting. But we kept on driving by slow, and there was a shed just in his ditch. So, like good people we are, we stopped and talked to him before we grabbed the shed, and he kind of told me that I could have it. So it was quite nice, good experience. But we were not able to gain access to the property to shed hunt
You tried.
because I tried best I could.
What's
And,
your angle? How do you get shed hunting permission?
You know,
what's your
Me?
trick?
if I don't use Ross as my angle, I like to talk about the service I can provide. Do you have tractors? Do you have tractors with tires? Do you know how expensive it is to replace a tire after a shed antler goes through it? And we kind of go on that little tangent. So
How many times has that worked for you?
twice.
Well, that's better than I expected.
But the guy in the other property I have east of here, he says I want you out there because I've lost 2 tires in the last 3 years. So.
Well,
So it's a true story, but he marketed to me basically instead of me marketing to him. So
that works.
yeah, it does. It's a good angle. I mean, I would encourage your listeners to use it. That's for sure.
Peter, you are a listener, aren't you?
I listen every week, unlike some of the guys here.
Oh, that was a low blow.
I mean, I've known you the least, I guess, but
Man. I
Man.
know.
Yeah.
If anything, that should just make me feel bad.
yeah, no, it's good.
True. Thank you, Peter, for
Yes.
listening to me
Yeah,
and Dan.
I enjoy it.
It's good. It's good. Josh, Andy, you've never shed hunted in Iowa before. You just got your first day in today.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think about Iowa?
What do you
in general,
think, Josh?
too?
Josh, you go first.
It's like much hillier than what
It
you
is.
think.
Yeah, I would agree.
But
Or
I always think,
And flat
yeah,
at the same time.
I think it's pretty
it-
flat, actually. Where we're at least.
Okay.
The terrain is a little different than you would imagine. You expect cornfields and a little flat, a little bit flatter, but it was a good day other than when everybody laughed at me
Why did we laugh at you?
because I found a shed that
Oh,
had already been found.
the old shed.
Well, he
Whatever.
made up for it with dinner, so that was nice.
Yeah, I brought food for everybody, so
Yeah.
to be fair,
You can come back, Andy.
okay. Josh helped with the meal.
Those are some killer elk burgers.
Yeah.
Elk.
Mark.
It's very good. Oh, yeah, we packed that
Yeah.
elk off a mountain.
Yeah. Packed it off a mountain a year ago.
That was fun.
They were actually just beef, but I told everybody they were elk. So.
Yeah.
Now you guys know.
The rest of the story.
Josh, what'd you think?
no, it was a good time. We had fun and laughed a lot and stayed warm by the fire tonight. It was chilly again tonight, but even though we only found a couple today and it seemed a little slower than maybe what you think of when you think about Iowa and you come out here and you find a bunch of sheds and all that stuff. It was still a lot of fun though. I'd come back if I'm allowed back.
Oh yeah.
He could be the issue, though.
I don't know, I could be the
Mhm.
issue.
So this year we have 5 sheds, right? 5 total sheds, 6 total sheds over the course of 3 days.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, I
right?
think-
I have 2.
You have 2. Ross has 2. Corey has.
Oh, no, we
One.
got
One.
And Dustin has 1.
No,
so
he
what's
had
that?
he has 2. Dustin found
Oh,
2.
So
Plus the old one, really, if you want to count that one. So
we have a little more than. I wasn't doing the math. What is that? 8?
yeah,
Seven,
7 or 8. Let's see, 3, 4, 7. That yeah, is that right?
A
7.
couple of years ago, in 2 days we put up like 26 or 27 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
That was
is
a good
fourth
year.
showing.
That was a lot of fun.
It's definitely at least 50% down, I would say, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, for total numbers.
Yeah. But it's about a good time hanging out with friends.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
We're sitting here eating elk burgers, cold beverages, 6 dudes crammed into a little camper in a circle. That's good. That's cool, right?
Can't get any better than that.
No.
No.
Andy's got his hand on my leg right now, so
He does too. Cora, what's your best shed hunting advice?
my best shed hunting advice. Just keep walking, honestly. I mean, don't get. I would say honestly, from me, try not to get depressed because I'm one that just kind of gets down and gives up a little bit too early. So try to keep positive outlook and put the miles on the boots. That's honestly the best thing you can do.
Now, you were telling me today that it's a little bit depressing for you because you used to live in Iowa for a while,
Yeah.
and now you don't. And you don't quite get to enjoy shed hunting the same way anymore.
Yeah, it's nice when you live here and you have, 2-3 hours in the evening after school or after work or something. You can just go out and walk 40 acres in an hour and maybe pick up 1 or 2 antlers, and you do that twice a week for 8 weeks, from February 1st till the end of March. And you might pile up 25, 30 antlers in a year. That's a lot of fun. Whereas if you, like nowadays, we get to come out for 3 or 4 days and you hope you can find a few. It's definitely a different experience. Absolutely.
How'd you guys get into shed hunting?
I don't know. I
I
don't remember.
don't really know.
We definitely did it before it was cool. Tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Mark Kenyon came along.
For me,
Told everybody about it.
the first shed antler I ever found was March of 2008, so it's been about 9 years ago, I guess now.
I think I got into it maybe
With
because
me.
Corey was finding sheds.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
'Cause
did.
I think I started going out with
Yep.
you.
I think so. Yep, I found the first shed about 40 yards from a tree stand I had here in Iowa. The first year I hunted, I found a nice big, 53-inch 4-point size, real nice deer, real nice antler, and so of course that got me excited, and I kept walking and found 2 or 3 more, and just took off from there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So
You had a good little journaling system that you used. That was a good idea.
yeah, for a while there,
What was
I don't
the
do it as
deal
much
there?
anymore. Every antler I would find, I would write down the date, the location, the description of the antler, how it laid, what type of terrain I found it in, like if it was in a fence row or a grassy strip or, in the timber or where it was, and then that way I could always go back and look at the dates that they were dropping and kind of, and then the locations I was finding them to have a kind of an idea of when to gear my time, in the woods to know when to go, and also I can look back, I would say, percentage-wise and say, 70% of the antlers I found in this type of terrain versus that type of terrain. So it was I thought it worked out quite well for me.
So if you could only pick one day to go shed hunting a year, you had to pick what you think is the absolute best day to start and end your shed hunting for the season. What would be that best day?
Date?
Date. Based on what you saw.
Probably about March 8th to 10th, somewhere in there. 8th, I'll say.
And why is that the sweet spot?
Just because, as we just talked about this weekend, I still do think there's probably a few bucks holding. Typically, and you might still see one mid-March. You might jump one with antlers on, but by about the 8th or 10th of March, most, I would say you're probably in that 80% or more have already dropped, by the 10th of March, 8th to 10th of March, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trick is, though,
The trick is some years, mild winter, low stress, they could carry an extra week or two longer than that even. It's really hard to tell, but my journaling, it seemed like every time I would look back, when I look back at my journal, right about February 15th was really when it picked up. And then I would say it was the best, obviously, the first 2 weeks of March. So, yeah.
Now, Ross, you kept track. You guys do keep track of the dates of all your sheds, right? Or at least you used to.
Yeah, just
'Cause
from
Kendall-
all the pictures and stuff like that, yeah.
Because Kendall, at one point, your wife had graphed all the sheds you'd found and the dates. And she sent this to me. And it was really interesting to see the distribution of all.
It's like a bell curve, right?
Yeah.
It was a inverse bell curve, though.
Okay.
So tell us about that. Tell us what you guys have seen when you've had the most success.
I think that was probably because, at least in this area, a lot of there'd be those early sheds that you'd pick up, and then it would be slow through February. There's more snow, so we weren't picking up as many. a lot of the bucks held till like that mid-February time, then started shedding more frequent after that. Then we'd pick them up more after towards the end of February again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was kind of a combination of like January, those early sheds, then got slow because bucks weren't shedding as much, holding on, more snow on the ground, then snow starts melting, more bucks are shedding, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing.
What would
It
be
always
your
seems
best
to be-
day?
What?
What would be your best day? Like, if you had to pick a date, like I told Corey.
Probably
Would
the
be
same
your day?
thing.
March 8th?
Yeah, probably any time when, just depending on that snow melt.
Yeah. The trick
Whenever
though
the
is
snow melts, in March typically. It wasn't like that this year. There's been no snow. But
right. The issue is if you wait too late though,
Yeah.
then you get chewed up antlers, or you get
Yeah.
other people that walk it.
Right.
And it's like we're constantly debating that.
Yeah. In an ideal year, you want heavy snow from, early January all the way till the last couple days of February, and then about a week to 10 days for it to melt, and then you get out there. That's ideal, but that doesn't always happen.
yeah.
Speaking of shed hunting, does anyone else think about shed hunting at different parts of the year, outside of shed hunting season, and think about how awesome it is, and then like 8 hours into shed hunting, like, gosh, I hate this. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, Ross talks about shed hunting October 1st.
I do
He
start
does.
thinking about
Yeah.
it. Usually I don't start thinking about it until after the rut. I would say for me it's right around Thanksgiving, like once my excitement for the deer hunting starts to fade just a little bit, that's when I start thinking about sheds.
So October 2nd? Or
No,
what?
I said like
Oh.
after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Late November, early December. I wouldn't say I'd think about sheds before that too awful much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think about them a lot, like early too. You see what the farmers are planting,
Yeah.
what's where, all that stuff. So you start brainstorming what's going to be good
Mm-hmm.
throughout the year.
Peter, what kind of shed hunting advice do you have? You're wise. You're the elder statesman of the group.
Have younger friends that knock on doors. That's kind of the first advice I have. So Ross is really good at that.
You utilize
yeah.
that well.
So, but he's been generous, so I appreciate that. But lately, I've kind of got my own places kind of east of here, so it's been good. So I just like you said in some of your other podcasts, the first few knocks are difficult, but once you do it, and like I said, I'm a chiropractor. I do have live in Iowa and have a patient base that is farmers. So just start casual conversations with them, and before you know it, they allow you to just walk their property. So works out pretty great.
Yeah. Access is one of the very most important things. You can be great at spotting antlers, and you can know all the right spots to go on a property, but if you don't have a property where there's deer, quality food, you're not going to find any antlers if they're not there. Just like deer hunting.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Get a bunch of places, and then at least you're in the game.
Yep.
Peter, you've got an interesting story. We'd like to talk about your story, becoming a deer hunter. You grew up in the UP, shooting deer,
I guess,
hunting deer.
It's pretty
And then you moved to
typical, like
Iowa.
probably a lot of listeners, before you learn about hunting more. We had a hunting camp, 20 by 20, with a fireplace in the middle, created by stone, and we talked about the lights there?
Kerosene
lights. And I just remember those days going out there when I was 7, 8, and basically you would, uncles would smoke, we'd have our clothes in the same building, go out to the stand weeks before, maybe 2 weeks before, just throw corn out. And hunting was something different then. It was still about camaraderie, but it was just about getting out there and seeing what came in. And being from upper Michigan, it was generally a forkhorn or spike, occasionally a basket rack 6, but I'll never forget those memories, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, Ross, you got to know Pete in school, and you invited him to go hunting with him. You invited him to go hunting with you. You had like a tree stand and your bow, and you're all ready to go to hunt some public land. Tell us about those first hunts with Peter.
I don't know. I saw him in class once, and I felt bad for him. He was this old guy.
I still, yeah.
Needs a younger mentor. Take him out in the woods. And no, I don't remember. I don't know.
Our group, we just got a group of hunters.
Yeah. He showed interest in hunting, and then I'm like, "Oh, do you want to go?" So we just went off to some public land. I had an area I was going to, and Peter had
Do you recall what I was wearing?
tree bark, I think.
89 tree bark. It was what, 2000?
The bow was something else.
7, 8,
Yeah,
8.
good old
What
Browning.
was the bow? What was the bow?
It was a Browning bow from like my brother had from 1987 or 88.
The whole setup. I like the old setup. What kind of arrows? Just lay it out for us.
I'm not a techie, so it was. There were bow and arrows.
He was shooting those Easton. He was shooting those
I-
Easton.
I did- had to be game getters,
Game
dude.
getters.
Had to be game getters.
I don't know what it
25-17s.
was.
25-17
and I-
with shaft.
I think I bought the cheapest broadheads. We were in college from
Thunderheads.
Yep, Thunderheads.
yeah
That's
something
right.
Easton
and,
game getters.
So what's some Thunderheads on there? Yeah.
and probably a $12 trigger.
Yep.
And you're guaranteed that Peters he never had his arrows cut down, so they were probably
No.
about 4 inches
yeah.
too long.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Plastic vein,
Yeah.
like a 6-inch plastic
6-inch
vein.
plastic vein.
Oh,
couple
and then
for
being
bat.
from Upper Michigan, I'm not going to blast Michigan, but you guys do it enough. But the biggest buck I've probably seen was a 100-incher.
Yeah.
Roscoe's. I saw 120. I was shaking like a leaf up in my tree stand.
Right.
And he's like, just settle down. That's nothing. I go, what do you mean that's nothing? That's the biggest deer I've ever seen. So that was the learning curve. And once I saw that, I was hooked. I mean,
Yeah.
because at that point I hadn't bow hunted since I was 19, and at that time I was 35.
Yeah.
So I'm relatively brand new to this again. So
Is it true, Peter, that once you were using a climbing tree stand and about 25 feet up into the tree, you lost the bottom of the climber?
yeah, you shouldn't use twine. So yeah, that was comical.
How'd you get out of that pickle?
Well, fortunately, Ross and I we tag team a lot. Then he would sit the tree next to me, and and we would do that. And he climbs down, and he was very cautious. Ross. It took him like 20 minutes to climb down, and I'm hanging on for dear life up top. Good thing I've got strong triceps and big chest.
Big chest.
Handsome guy. But,
Is it true you were once a male model?
I was.
He was.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Like a Sears model, or like what kind of?
Basically, this podcast
Fleet
is just
Farm.
the Peter.
Fleet Farm.
What the Peter?
It's a Fleet Farm. I did
Houston
some
commercial.
bank commercials.
Bank commercials.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. This is a revelation for me.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
It was tough stuff. Sit all day all long with a.
You got a scrapbook?
I did one in a pool with this lady. It was nice.
Really?
Yeah. At that time I was 24, and my mom wanted a wife and kids. I said, well, here's this picture. It proves I got one. So yes, yeah. So it was fun.
Do you have a scrapbook of all?
I'm sure somewhere. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
Come on.
I do. Yeah. It's
Okay,
there,
thank you.
Yeah.
Is it in your truck right now?
No, it's not in my truck right now. It's gone. It's gone. It's no longer with us. So.
Oh my gosh! Tell us some more funny Peter hunting stories, Ross or Corey. What other crazy
we
things
used to
have you
go
done?
together.
I fall a lot. That's the funniest part.
Yeah.
Remember in the UP when I was hunting, I was carrying a salt block in my bow and something else, probably 100 pounds of corn on my other shoulder, and I rolled down a ridge.
Just went
I
rolling
got up
down.
to live and tell about it. Yeah, so I'm susceptible to falling.
Big tree fall hard.
Yes, big tree fall hard. Yeah.
Don't go.
Speaking of twine, he had like the one time he lost the bottom of his. I probably told him, hey, don't you think you should connect those two together? Nah, it's fine. And he lost that bottom section, and so he was up there dangling, right? So I climbed down, and he's up there 20 feet. He's just hanging. He's thinking, oh, I think if I just hang here, I can just drop down and land on the bottom section.
No, I was gonna grab the tree, drop to the tree, and hug it like a.
Yeah.
And slide down.
That didn't
Like a
sound like a good idea, so I had to move my climber over. I had to climb up the tree, lift his section up, get them all.
Well, you took pictures first, though. I recall.
Yeah,
that.
I did take pictures.
Yeah.
And then there's another time, same spot. It was a really good spot. We hunt public land. We saw a lot of big bucks there.
Didn't I use the same twine to pull my bowl up?
Yeah, he
and
did.
it broke.
And he had this like twine. I don't know where he got it from. It's like 3 feet long. Tied his bow to it and was climbing up. The bow's like swinging back and forth, banging against the tree. And he gets up to the top, and of course the twine breaks or comes loose.
And the
or whatever.
bow falls?
And the bow falls 20 feet. Boom! Right to the ground.
The Browning?
The brown.
Yeah, and
Browning.
so Peter climbs down, grabs his bow, ties it back onto his 3-foot twine, climbs up the tree, bangs the bow around, gets to the top, and it drops down to the ground again. And he did that like 3 times.
And Ross never makes a noise when he's like, this guy's making a lot of noise. This guy's making a lot of noise. Yeah. We still saw
Yeah, it
deer,
was,
though, because I'm like a magnet, I think.
It's like,
So,
just get a rope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get a rope.
Yeah.
Why do you stick around with this guy?
Oh, we had a lot of fun.
It was fun.
It was a good time.
Yeah,
Remember the time I went there by myself, and I said, "What would Ross do?"
Oh yeah, you got to tell that story.
Oh gosh. So it was a Sunday, and Ross goes, "Are you going out there?" I go, "Yeah, I'll go out there." We had scouted this place. We gave it the name Lion's Den because there was this massive rub on a tree, and it looked like it had to walk up on this pedestal first and just rub like the what's the movie? Help me out.
How the hell am I
Lion
supposed
King.
to know
Thank
that?
you. Yes.
Lion King.
What's that movie?
Yes.
What about the lion?
What's the name of it? It goes up on that big rock and roars. So, anyways, back to the point. So I'm out there and I saw a buck go by, and some of these spots we'd have to use calling tactics to get them in because, you're hunting 40 yards from a fence line and you're using. You could see him, you can call him in. We were really effective at that earlier back then, and I saw like a small buck go through and I could barely see the horns. I go, God, I wonder what would happen if I could really see it. Sure enough, 10 minutes later on cue, probably 140 class walks through. And at that time, I didn't know what a 140 class meant. But I go, oh, my God, that's huge. I go, what would Ross do at this point? So I realized I dropped my grunt tube. I snort wheeze or something like that.
You had a lot of stuff falling from the stand back then.
I didn't have a bag.
The bow, the
I
grunt
go,
tube.
I just like, oh my God, roar! And I just did a roar.
Wait, do the sound.
Because I didn't know how to do a snort wheeze. Well, once you know, that damn thing stopped and turned around and came all the way in.
Did he really?
Yeah. So it gets better.
Oh my gosh.
It gets better than that.
So
It
the
does.
buck is at about 18 yards, maybe not, let's just say 24. And it had to jump the fence. It took its time. I'm shaking bad, and I have this Browning with probably 10% let off, and I'm just, excuse me, and pulling it here. The deer's not in my spot. It's for anybody else. They would have shot it, not for me. And I was shaking so bad my finger hit the trigger.
Oh no.
Slapped that thing right in its keister, right in the butt.
Wasn't your finest hour as a hunter, was
No, and I watched it run down the hill, and it basically it's like he reached back there and grabbed it, pulled it out. It went in maybe an inch.
Yeah.
Right in we call it the trochanter buck. So
Yeah. He lived to see another day.
yeah, that was. So I went out there next day, did my due diligence, skipped class, and I never saw him again. But yeah,
That was a good deer. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
What
That
about-
was
what-
a great experience, a lot of fun.
What about the other story where he called you, Ross, and told you he'd shot a buck, and then you asked him, what did it sound like? Tell that
Okay, I
story.
think we got enough stories about me. I mean,
I really want to hear that one.
Well, that was another public land spot. Same public land, but different tree.
so yes,
Really good spot.
in Iowa, you can shoot some big deer on public land, definitely in the West. That's for sure.
We found a buck bed kind of like on this point, and we were in there scouting, and then we were both like, "Oh man, we got to get in here." And I think Peter, he went in there really shortly after that next
Yeah,
morning or whatever.
Ross and I would trade again. We'd trade hunts. Oh, you want me to continue?
Yeah, this is your story.
Oh, you're
man.
pretty good at telling it. So I'm out there in this stand. One of our big things is go deep or go home, and we're deep on this spot. And kind of like my teenage years. Anyways. And so I'm back there. And again, we got to use calling tactics, but I'm actually texting Corey. And
That's right. I remember that.
yeah, I said, Corey, I got to stop because I think I hear a deer rubbing a tree you couldn't see him down the ridge somewhere. And so I do a soft grunt. I actually had my grunt tube this time. And sure enough, all I see is tines coming over the ridge on the other side of the fence. And he gets over and jumps. And at this point, he's all 155 8-pointer. I mean,
Yeah.
that was awesome. And comes over, he's staring right through me because I'm in a cedar tree. And he moves and turns, and I draw back. Now I have a newer bow. But I was seated in a ladder stand. I had to turn to the kind of cockeyed, almost like gangster style, you know. Imagine a guy with a pistol, a gangster style. And I shot, and I thought I hit it. So I call Ross, pretty proud. He goes, and he knows Ross knew I've not shot a buck with a bow yet, and still. And he goes, "What did it sound like, Peter?" Because he's excited. He's getting a canoe all ready, and it went ting 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 ting. What?
Is that a good thing?
I go, must have went right through and just sailed through the woods. He goes, no. No. He's like, I'll be there in a minute. So it was kind of one of those things where I didn't know what to expect because I had not shot a deer. What's the noise it's supposed to make, Ross?
Not that. I had that canoe strapped on. I was all pumped. He's like, I shot a big 8-pointer. And then he told me that later on. So I just drove up there with the canoe anyways, and we looked around, but that arrow skipped for miles.
So the next day you hunted there and verified. That was a monster.
Yeah, I saw him. I don't know if that was the next day or a couple days later.
Days, yeah.
And he came out. He kind of did the same thing, but he came out a little further out.
He was suspect.
In the open. Oh, yeah. But, boy, that was a big buck. That was a dandy.
Do you think it's
big 8?
Have things gotten worse out here since those days? I feel like there's a lot of talk like that. You know, early 2003, 4, 5, 6 was like the glory days in Iowa.
Yeah.
And now things have been going downhill. For you guys that have been hunting here that whole time, have you seen that?
Yeah, and especially because we're hunting ground that's not like tons of pressure. It's tons of pressure. If you hunt permission, there's lots of other guys.
Yeah.
It used to be better hunting, but it just keeps getting a little worse.
But out
and
there,
worse.
the land has changed ownership, so now there's a guy with food plots out there on the other side, but they're disturbed it, I think, way too much. It used to be all prairie grass.
Yeah.
So some of that's changed the landscape.
There's so many different factors, but there's definitely less deer, definitely less mature deer. It's just not quite the same. It seems like it gets a little worse every year.
Hopefully that rebounds or comes back.
I agree.
It's still better than when I lived in Upper Michigan hunting, though, so I'm not going to complain.
True. Andy, you think you'll ever come out here and hunt Iowa?
I may. I got a few spots that I've been trying to hunt in Kentucky, and
how'd that go?
Yeah.
You hunted. That was is that your first? No.
Well,
one of your first out-of-state whitetail trips, right?
Well, I've done Ohio a couple times. I guess once down there.
A little bit down there, yeah.
Well, Kentucky was awesome. It was just the weather didn't work is all it was. It was like
a little too mild and warm that weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like I think it was the 7th of November or something. The first day that I was down there, it was like I think it was like 80 degrees or something. It was like something. It might have been 70. It was just.
I think it was earlier in the month because
it
was like that first, second.
Oh, it might have been that first
warm.
week. Yeah, because it was like literally. I remember I had a T-shirt on. I used my climate stand and I had a T-shirt, camouflage T-shirt. I'm like, oh, I'm either going to stink the place up with a long sleeve shirt on, or I'm going to be a little bit more visible. But I saw a lot of deer down there, but it wasn't. It just I a lot of does, and little bucks. But I can't wait to get down there and try it again because a weekend is not enough time. You know what I mean? I had a long weekend basically, and when you get down there and try to scout something and set stand,
How'd you try to tackle it? I mean, given you such a short amount of time, did you have a game plan going in, or were you just gonna go walk it? Or
I actually, instead of walking it, being that I only had a couple days to do, I kind of thought it would be easier to one of the first hunts to get somewhere where the wind. There was a cabin on the property that I hunted, so I set up to where my wind would be basically blowing towards that cabin. Is kind of what I thought, and as it got light, I saw some deer moving, and then adjusted from there. And then I hunted those, what I saw from that one morning. Basically, used that for my gauge, gauged everything off of that, which, obviously could have been the absolute wrong thing to do. But I saw a lot of deer, and it very easily could have come together because I'd see deer, does, and bucks following them. But I think that weather just turned them off a little bit. Mm-hmm. If it had been 25 degrees cooler, it might have been a different deal. There's a guy killed a 150 8-inch 10-point, from what I hear, 300 yards from where I was setting up the last day that I was there. I think I showed you the picture of it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I definitely want to get back down there and do that. And I've talked to the guy, and he said this September it's a go. So
that's exciting.
I'm going to try it again. Yeah.
It's going to be here before I know it.
I know it.
We're 7 months away. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're hunting here again next year, Corey?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
This year's your Iowa year?
Yeah, as long as I can draw a tag.
You got a game plan?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I got a general idea what I want to do. I mean, I hunt the same general area each time, so I kind of have an idea of how the deer use the farm. And there's 2 different trees I want to try this year, though. One I've sat in this within about 40 yards of there. This one tree, half a dozen different times, and every time it's just this is one of those trees where the trees I've been nearby, I can get a shot, but this particular tree just has been intriguing. It's an oak tree, as you guys know. That's my favorite. But I'm going to try to hang a stand in that tree, and then there's one other area of the farm that I haven't really hunted much. I might try that, but same general area, so I kind of know how to hunt it.
Just a matter of putting the time in, right?
Yeah, just putting the time in, exactly.
Be there at the right time and put in the time.
Exactly.
That's the trick.
Yep.
So we got one more day of the shed hunt here. What's the game plan? Walk property yours, Corey?
Yeah. In the morning, we're going to go there and walk a couple 100 acres in the morning and hopefully find something. And if not, we're headed home, I guess.
Not our best shed hunt. But we had a heck of a good time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've been laughing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Best shed hunting memories? Any good ones other than what we've been talking about here? Any crazy things that have happened in the past? I had to give my biggest Michigan shed that I ever found to Andy.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm proud of it, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
actually
got it.
threw the one away that I found.
Did you?
The one that
The
Mark
one
had to give me because it was the match. I have it on my, it's on my counter, right?
Yeah.
Walk in the house right there.
That was a nice shed.
I let the dog have the other one, but
Did you?
that was nice. I didn't know that was the rule.
And since then, we've gotten rid of the rule.
Did you? Did you?
It's we now call it the Andy Bradley effect because it was so painful.
Awesome. I'll bring it over like next time when I come over and
Just
let you
like,
look at
"Yo,
it.
look
like,
at this."
Check it out. Cool.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Where
We
did that
gotta-
rule come from?
I don't know.
Mark made that up.
What's
There's
wrong?
no
No,
way.
I definitely did. That was before
No,
me.
honestly, I think when we were in school, I looked that up sometime, like when we were shed hunting. I don't know if I have somebody. I think
Where
I
you
was.
look that up at?
No, I was on like a forum, and I think I was reading about guys.
popularized.
I think
yeah.
I was reading about guys shed hunting, and people posting pictures, and somebody on there posted a picture of a big antler that they had to give up, or something. And I was like, "Why would you give it up?" And then I started reading more and heard that was an unsaid rule, and just I don't know.
I don't like that rule.
You know,
I don't like it anymore either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that rule.
See, I'm torn. Like, I think if you're with a guy on his farm, and he's had pictures of the deer and he has history with the deer, and he finds a side and you find the other side 10 minutes later, my thoughts are the guy that's hunting the deer that could kill the deer should keep the shed,
Yeah.
or at least you keep it for the time being. And if he ever does kill the deer, obviously you got to give it up. But that's a tough rule. I mean, it is. I don't think if you're hunting ground that like nobody in the group can ever hunt or kill a deer there, then
Yeah.
it should just be you find it, you take it. I don't know. It's kind of tough. So
There's a chance that you may get it back someday, but
No, it's yours.
no, I have to give it back now.
Mark's guilting him into it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guilt involved here.
right,
He starts it off with the biggest shed he's ever found in Michigan.
right. Just
How
rub
big
a little
was that
salt in
shed?
the wound.
I mean, it wasn't that big.
Well, it's pretty nice.
It was
It's over 50.
over 50, yeah.
4-point side. I mean, it's
I mean, for a Michigan
120 inch 8-pointer.
nice.
Match that type of is nice.
shed, it was sweet.
Real nice.
That was my best day of shed hunting in Michigan ever,
Yeah,
found
you found
four.
like 4, yeah.
which
What was
for
the start of
Michigan.
Corey's
Great.
bachelor party.
Yeah,
That-
diaper party.
Diaper party.
diaper
Corey's
party.
diaper party.
That's right, yeah.
Big wild that day of
That was a
shed hunting, and then the deer and turkey
deer
classic,
turkey classic.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
That's a banger, for sure.
It was fun, and we
We
had,
talked about it. We're going to do it again. We're going to go out sometimes. We talk deer
you know,
periodically.
Yeah.
And about, what is it, a year, 2 years later now? We're doing it.
It's been a
once
while.
every 2 years.
Once every few years. Oh, yeah.
Well, I was hoping we'd have like stories of 25 sheds to talk about today, but really there wasn't a whole lot of that. But it was basically this: the last 3 days we've done this, sit and talk about deer hunting stories, and laughed a lot, and had a couple cold beers and a lot of good food. We had an all-you-can-eat fish fry last night. That was incredible. They have
Yeah.
many of those all over the state. Very good.
Please edit comments.
Peter used to film a bunch for Wired to Hunt, and he would have these really weird commentaries,
Yes. Yes.
and then he would send them to me.
He's mounting that doe. I know what did I say? Oh, gosh.
And then
Oh, there's 2 bucks fighting. Scratch that. There's a buck mounting a doe, because that's what was happening. Pretty sexy up in that part of the woods. It must be.
And he'd send it to me and just be like, please edit the comments.
Yeah, please edit comments. So.
And with that, I think we're just digressing. So we're going to shut this episode down, but it was a fun shed hunt. Any final thoughts, Josh, on your first Iowa shed hunt?
It was fun. I'd like to come back. I'll make the drive again.
Hopefully.
So maybe
Get here
it'll be,
earlier.
I know, get here a little earlier, do like a long weekend or something, and have a little bit more time. But definitely a good time.
Peter, final thoughts?
I just enjoyed having you guys come up, and years ago, Ross moved away, and I had all this property to myself, and I went shed hunting by myself on these properties. I didn't realize he would drive 3 hours to come shed hunt, so he got so mad at me. But just stay off the properties without your buddy. That's kind of my advice.
Ross?
A little pissy, like a little girl. Scared me.
It was a great time. Glad everybody made it down. It was pretty awesome that we could get everybody together and do this.
Because we have been talking about it for a long
pretty great.
time.
Yeah, so I'm disappointed that we didn't have a better shed hunt, but make sure you guys check your phones in the next couple weeks. I'll be sure to send you some pictures.
Yeah. I know you will. We know you will. Next weekend, to be exact. You'll have a couple more to find. I'm sure you'll find a few more.
Mm-hmm. Andy, what do you got?
Not much, man. It was a blast. I'd come back and do it again for sure. A little more if it was a little bit warmer, sleeping in that tent, I was expecting to be a little bit more of a, maybe not like a Colorado or an Idaho trip where you could just stay warm. But no, it was a blast. We had a ton of fun and laughed. And I never gauge success on what we kill or catch or find or whatever, because I'd just be bummed out too much. So just had a good time. I'd do it again for sure.
Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much saying more of the same, but it was nice hanging out with everybody. It's always fun to, get out there and walk, and had a good time.
And with that, we'll wrap it up. Tomorrow we're going to find a dozen sheds.
Yes, we'll
We'll
try.
have to do another episode.
And we'll do another one next week. And with that, we will wrap this episode up. What very well may have been our most bizarre episode, but hopefully you enjoyed coming along with us for a few stories and a few good laughs. So finally, I do want to thank our partners who make this podcast possible. So big thanks to Sitka Gear, Yeti Coolers, Ozonics, Matthews Archery, Maven Optics, Whitetail Institute of North America, Carbon Express, and Huntera Maps. And finally, thank you all for listening. Like I just said, I really appreciate it. I hope your shed hunting is going well, and I hope you'll stay wired to hunt.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase. You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins.